So, namaste everyone. Welcome to the 26th session of Aparokshanubhuti offered by Bindoji. And for reference, the texts are, one is pinned up above here, is from Swami Vimuktananda, which is a translation into English, as in a translation to English. And the Sanskrit version, completely Sanskrit version by Advaita scholar Vidyaranya, is also pinned in the chat. And the replays of all the talks are available on Advaita Retold YouTube channel, the link for which is provided in the chat. And also the replays are available in Clubhouse. And you can follow all the talks up to the 25, this is the 26th version. So again, thank you, Bindoji, for offering this to us. And over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. As usual, we will be keeping the hand raising and chat closed during the class. So we'll open it after that so that any questions or doubts if you have in this class or the earlier classes can be asked. Most welcome for that. Let us start. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsa Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravashi Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murtibeda Vivagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. So till the last class we have completed up to 67 slokas. And we'll be embarking from 68 onwards this class. Now here in the previous verses, it has been established that the phenomenal world is nothing but Brahman. And if somebody is not able to see that, it is only due to the ignorance or avidya or malam, means any doubt or apprehension. All of this can give rise to the phenomenal world as not Brahman. Now what is Brahman? Brahman has to be understood as that which is the basis or the very cause or the what you call consciousness or awareness with which we are able to see, experience and understand everything including our own existence. What we are seeing in the world or not able to understand it as consciousness or awareness or existence in the world of objects is because for the transactional purpose, we are depending upon the nama rupa or the names and forms, and the quality is based on the names and forms. Those things override our perception of the object or the content of the knowing as specific objects. Therefore, what happens is that we are unable to see the unity or the nature of these names and forms where they depend upon for their own existence. To elaborate on this point again, Acharya is going ahead with some more explanation. In the 68th verse, Sadaiva Atma Vishuddho Asti Hyashuddho Bhati Vai Sada. yadaiva dvivida rajjuhur jnani ajnanino anisham. So this is that Atma, or the self, or Brahman, sada eva, always vishuddha, is pure in nature. It is no contamination or nothing other than awareness or consciousness in it. That is why it is indeed in uniform or non-dual awareness. Sada means always. Even when the names and forms are being apprehended by us and transacting in the world as the objects or the sense organs or the mind and the individuality, as we, each one of us, and separate from the names and forms, the nature of them, including ours as well as the world of objects, which is what is called the Atma, or the consciousness, or the awareness, existence, which we are not able to objectify. That aspect of consciousness or awareness or knowledge or Brahman, Atma, whatever we designate it, because the names are not on which we should hang on, but they are all indicative about the pure nature of these existences. That is Sada Shuddha, Vishuddha. It's always pure. But Ashuddha Iva Bhadi appears as if impure. Impure means when you have duality. The appearance of duality is what is the word Ashuddha here means. The non-duality. A thing which is non-dual being seen as multitude or applied as seen as multiple or multivarious. That is what is called the error of perception or the error of understanding or error of apprehension. When that is being seen, how is it that we are not able to see the non-dual aspect of it? The Acharya is giving the example of rope and the snake. Such a simple example, which is everybody's experience. The rope is always a rope for the one who is knowing the reality. Rajjuhu anisham jnanina. Atninan ajnanina dvivida bhadi. For the one who doesn't apprehend the rope as rope, for it appears to be something different. It can be appearing as a garland or a snake or a crack on the floor or, or a stick on the floor. It can think as something different from the original. That is the second one. The one which should be seen as the reality is being apprehended as something other than that. Such a person is called the ignorant person or the Ajnani. Ignorant not from his capacity to understand or capacity of his knowledge in the physical world or in the mundane world. He may be a professor or he may be a doctorate in certain subjects. But when it comes to knowing his own nature and thereby knowing the nature of the world, he is an ignorant person because he is seeing it as second, separate from him. This separation is what is called the ignorance or the dvivida. Dvivida means two different ways. the rope is rope and snake is snake, or rope and garland. He said like that. The thing which should be seen as the reality is not seen, and you see something in its place. Then you are not knowing the reality, means you are an ignorant person of the reality, as far as the duality is concerned. Now, Vidyaranya is explaining this beautifully in his commentary. He says, Nanu Brahmani Basamane Prapancho na Basate iti Ashankya. Now, if the objection is raised as is, in Brahman, when the phenomenal world is appearing, should it appear as Brahman or should it appear as phenomenal world? This is a doubt which ever present and never getting satisfied for those who are understanding Advaita. When the Shastra or when the teacher or when the scriptures say that Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma, everything here, what you're seeing is nothing but consciousness or awareness. Yet, we are seeing not the consciousness or awareness, but we are seeing the names and forms. That is the question which is here being taken up by Vidyaranya. He is asking, if in Brahman the phenomenal world appears, will we see it as phenomenal world, or we will see it as a what you call Brahman? Avastha Vedena Ubhayamapi Bhasate. Bhasetanti. Depending upon the state of the individual, whether he is the one who is having the correct apprehension or the one who is having an ignorant apprehension, both are seen on the same substratum or the same thing. One person is seeing it as Brahman, the other person is seeing it as a phenomenal world. How? That is the example which is being given as the same rope. The one who knows the rope sees it as rope only. But the person who cannot see the rope, or who has not understood the rope, he will see the garland or a snake or a crack on the wall, on the floor, etc. of the same rope. So both are seen on the same thing. The same object is now being seen by Brahman as the Jnani and phenomenal world by the Ajnani or the ignorant person. That is the answer given by Swami Vidyaranya. But how is it? How does it happen that way? He is explaining, Tatra Jnaninaha Sadeva Atma Vishuddhaha Ajnana Tat Karyam Prapancha Malarhitatvat Nishprapancham Asti. Tatra means, in the case of a Jnani, Sadeva Atma Vishuddha. This consciousness or the awareness is known to him, or is in that knowledge of awareness or consciousness. He has no duality in the perception. The reason is Ajnana Tatkarya Prapancha Mala Hitatvat. Therefore, Nishprapancha Asti. Nishprapancha means without the phenomenal world, he is apprehending the awareness or the consciousness. Now, this is where we all get stuck. No, without exception. We are not able to understand or apprehend that correctly. For that, we need to first analyze the word ajnana tatkarya prapancha malarahitatvad. Rahitatvad means due to the absence. Malarahitatvad means, malam means normally is impurity. Here it is impurity means ignorance or non-apprehension. Due to the absence of non-apprehension, the phenomenal world is not there for the jnani. Now, what is the non-apprehension? Mala. Ajnana tatkarya prapancha. Ajnana means ignorance. Tatkarya means caused by the ignorance. Tatkarya means tasya karya. Ajnanasya karya. Ajnana is the ignorance is the cause, and the effect is prapancha, is the phenomenal world. Now, literally, word by word, we have understood what Vidyaranya has said. Ignorance causes us to see the world of phenomenal world because of the ignorance. The one who has no ignorance, he is a jnani. Sadeva Vishuddha Atma. For him, always it is the absent of phenomenal world, but pure awareness or consciousness. Very difficult to decipher or to understand this properly. Ajnanina tu sadeva ashuddha asti iti brahmad vibhati vai hi iti. For the ignorant, he is not apprehending the consciousness awareness or the existence aspect of it. Therefore, it appears always as impure. Brahmad, due to the delusion. When you don't see the reality and you see something else in the place, it is called Brahma or delusion or ignorance or error of perception. It is an error of perception. The phenomenal world, what we are seeing is the name, form and adjectivity of the phenomenal world, but not the reality with which this dependency of the name, form and qualities. That is where the difference between the one who knows and the one who has no knowledge. Now let us analyze this slightly deeply before we conclude this verse. The name and form of anything, any objective thing which we take, whether it is the snake or whether it is the what you call the mirage, or whether we see the blue sky, or whether we are talking about the waves, froth, bubbles, cloud, stream, river, etc. We are calling that all by names and different names and forms, gold and ornaments also, mud and the pot. There are different examples available. This world, what we are experiencing, is depending upon the existence and the existence itself in the form of presence or awareness with which its existence is known to us. Now let us take the wave for example. The wave is seen. It is a reality. It has a name. It has a form. But the wave is also a transactional, whether you want to surf on that, or whether you want to play with with your legs on the beach, or whether you are getting carried away by tossing your boat up and down by that wave, or it can be in the form of a tsunami coming, doing destruction. It can be in any name and form. They are all real experiences of the wave which we are calling it by different names. Whether it's a small wave or a tsunami, doesn't matter. But the dependency of that wave, from wetting your leg to wiping off the entire village, the tsunami, is nothing but water. An example which is very simple, easily understandable. Unless if you remove the water, the wave cannot wet your leg, nor can it become a tsunami. So there is a dependency for the names and forms on something else. In this case, the water. When we are talking about our experience as a waker or a dreamer, these are the two experiences where the phenomenal world can be categorized as. Because in the sushupti or in the deep sleep, we don't have the phenomenality. So let us analyze the dream and the waking. The experiences of the waker, the contents of the waking, including himself as a waker in the waking, is a phenomenality or the experientiality of names and forms. It includes our mind, our intellect, our physical body, our sensual organs, and through the sensual organs, the world of objects. Everything. All those are names and forms. Depending upon our true nature, only when we are aware of things described in the names and forms, they exist for us. The dream world is more important because that will give the clarity. We need to extrapolate it in the waking. When we see the world, the dreamer, and the dream world objects, and the dream experience as such, they are all depending upon our awareness. Not our awareness means there is no individuality. The waker is not there in the dreamer. Please understand that. This is why our individuality and adherence or holding on to our individuality is the reason why we are not able to understand the explanation. The individuality of the waker is not there in the dreamer. The experiencer of the dreamer is reality. The experiencer of the dream world is a reality. And both the dreamer and the dream world are pure experiences in awareness. If the apprehension of or the experience of the dream is not happening, there can never be a dreamer, nor can there be a dreamer world. it is exactly the same with the waking. The waker, the waking world, the experiences of the waker as XYZ, whatever may be the name and form and the identity with the individuality is existing and that. They are all real when it is being experienced by us. So when I am saying experienced, the experiencing aspect is what is called the awareness, consciousness, or the fundamental nature of our own being, our own existence. We are neither the waker nor the dreamer because both are negating one another. When I am the waker, I am not a dreamer. When I am the dreamer, I am not the waker. So each one is negating the other one, means they are all transient in nature. They appear and go. They come and go. Therefore, I am knowing their coming and going, including the deep sleep, where I have no experience, nor even the individuality that I am the deep sleeper. To mention that the time, space, causation, all of them are absent in the deep sleep case. But at the same time, as a witness or as a consciousness who is aware of this, I have knowledge or awareness of my dream. I have knowledge or awareness of my waking, and I also have the awareness that I have something which is different from the waking and the dream, where I have no experience of any kind or anything of these things. So when we are looking at that, the three is objectifiable from our point of view. I can objectify myself as a dreamer. I can objectify myself as a waker. I can objectify myself as the deep sleeper. And the transition from one to another is happening in my consciousness or awareness. It is not in my consciousness or awareness. I am the consciousness or the awareness which is observing or which is witnessing these things. So I have to be independent and free from my waking, dream, and deep sleep. When I am not able to identify myself as a witness to the three, or the conscious entity, or the awareness, there is no either. Please understand. The individuality is only for the waker. That waker individuality is lost, doesn't remain in the deep sleep or in the dream. You cannot even say the I, which is now the witness, is Bindo. Because Bindo is of the waking only. Nor the Bindo was there in the dream. But some experiencer was there who has no name or anything, but something he experienced, partly he brings as memory from the waking. He hallucinates or imagines fresh more things which he is not even aware of it, or may have seen it in the waking. It is a delusional or a hallucination state, what is called the dream. There is no individuality, the Bindo, which was the waker, to say that Bindo is dreaming. No. When I know that I am not the Bindo, who is knowing this transition of the waking dream and the deep sleep is transiting from one another. The one who is knowing this transition taking place is present even when the event of waking was happening, the event of dream was happening, and the event of deep sleep was happening. Unless it was conscious, aware, present in those things, he can never be called a witness. Only you can be called a witness only when you are present there in any situation. So you are now the witness at the same time, witness being present in the waking dream and deep sleep. But what happens to us is that when the witness is present in the waking, the waker, Bindu, forgets to apprehend or to know the nature of that witness in the waking and identifies with the mind and intellect of the Bindu who is the waker. So what happens is that the phenomenal world, which is now being experienced through the sense organs and the mind of the Bindu, appears to be different from Bindu. The witness which is present in the waking, which can witness Bindu and which also knows that Bindu and the phenomenal world is all nothing but awareness or consciousness, now assuming different names and forms and transacting similarly what was happening in the dream world in the waking. So what happens is that one who knows that he is the witness even in waking, he even observes the Bindu with the mind and intellect and transacting with the phenomenal world similar to the dreamer or dream world, what is happening, and is seeing them all as phenomena of awareness, but not confused with the phenomenal world as independently real. He is seeing the phenomena as a total awareness, pure awareness, consciousness in which the dream is appearing, the waking is appearing, on the dreamer world is appearing, the individuality of the Bindu who is a waker, dreamer and the deep sleeper. The whole thing is being now known to that entity who is no more Bindu, but understands very clearly how the Bindu, the waker, is functioning. The dreamer is functioning where it is not even Bindu, and the absence of the waker and the dreamer as a deep sleeper, and that entity. There is no separatedness from anything else because there is only one entity, and that non-dual entity is pure awareness in which everything is appearing. So the one who sees that way, he is not deluded by what is happening in the waking, nor in the dream, nor in the deep sleep. because he knows the reality as there is only one non-dual consciousness, awareness, which is itself shining as waker or shining as the dreamer, and the one which is shining or illumining the waking or the dreamer is pure and not contaminated but by what is getting illuminated or being known. Illumining here means apprehending or conscious about. He is not conditioned or contaminated by the knowledge of those things. Knowing them happens, he sees that happening in the mind of the waker. He sees the dream happening in the mind of the dreamer. And he knows that the dreamer, the waker, and the deep sleeper are nothing but awareness itself, which is now being called by names and forms. I don't know whether these explanations made any sense to any one of you, or you are able to make out anything. That is exactly the reason why the example of the rope and the snake is being given, to understand that the consciousness, awareness of the totality, non-dual, is the rope, and the snake appearing in that, but has no independent existence. If the rope is not there, the snake cannot be seen. Same way, the consciousness, awareness is in which the waker, the dreamer, or the deep sleeper, and the entire operation appears to be happening, and you are not the one which is trapped in the waker mind, intellect complex. Tatra prasiddho ubhayatravi drishtantam yada rajju jnanina sarpa abhavataya nirvisheshatvena abhayankari ajnaninaha tu sarparupadaya vipiritattvena bhayankari iti dvivita bhadi. He is giving the example here, Vidyaranya. Yada rajju means just as the case of rope, which has no reason to make you afraid, is the experience of the jnani, the one who knows it is a rope. Same way, the world, when it is affecting us, or we are having happiness, sorrow, all the dualities of, that is why one word is used, bhayam. Bhayam means the fear from the second one. Then the reality, the second one is not separate or real, is not happening, is saying, then there is no need to be afraid of anything. That is the case of the jnani, one who knows that there is no snake there, abhayataya, nirvisheshatvena. There is no vishaya or visha. Oh, he is using nirvishatvena, not vishayatvena, nirvishetvena. He doesn't see the snake as a snake, he doesn't see the snake at all. When he doesn't see the snake, there is no poison also for him to be afraid of. Whereas the ignorant one, because he sees the serpent, and therefore he sees the snake with the poison, and he is afraid of the snake. This example is brought in so that the example which is being referred in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, Sukha Dukkhe Samikritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo, all those things which is that mentioned in there is no duality at all from the point of view of the consciousness or awareness. But the moment you are thinking that you are the waker, conditioned by the mind, body, intellect, etc., then there is all duality there. You will have success, failure, happiness, sorrow, heat, cold. All of them are for the individual who is in the waking. But the consciousness awareness which knows that it is a phenomena or it is the swabhava of the consciousness or the nature of awareness. The nature of awareness can never be different from the nature of awareness. In the nature of awareness, when the phenomenal world is being perceived by the person who is in the waking, for him the phenomenal world is only what is seen, not the nature of phenomenal world, which is the consciousness or awareness. Just as in the dream, it is easy for us to understand that it is the awareness or the consciousness in which the dreamer and the dream world has appeared. So the world of dream and the dream world or the dreamer, etc., are nothing but appearances or the nature of awareness itself. The awareness can appear as awareness. There is no stoppage for it. But when it is being seen as not awareness but as a phenomenal world which is independent of awareness, not knowing awareness, then you are stuck in a waking world. Therefore, this is the most important example which is seen by and example used by the teachers to explain the reason for the duality of the world. Brahma yadyapi swayam prakashatvena sada bhatyeva tadapi vritti aarudatvena puruṣārtha upayogita jnaninaha pratibadi na ajnanina. Brahman, the consciousness or the awareness or Brahman, yadyapi, although swayam prakashatvena, by its own potency to be self-luminous, or the capacity or the nature of being awareness itself, tadabhadi eva, it is always that anything coming in the sunlight will be lit by the sunlight. Same way, anything which is appearing in the consciousness, see the problem between the two examples that sun is different, the object is different. The best example is the dream. Swayam Prakasha, it is the one which is illumining the objects on the dreamer and the dream world. So Sadabhadi Eva, that is the one which is shining. In fact, it is the whole world of dream and the dreamer is nothing but awareness or consciousness. But when we say that the waking is exactly the same, it is a dream-like, people are not able to accept it. Knowing that it is dream-like doesn't stop dreaming again. Every time when we dream and when we wake up, we know it is a dream and they are not real. But that doesn't stop us from dreaming the next day or the next time. Waking is similar, but we are unable to extrapolate that experience of the dream as the waking as a dream. Sada bhati eva. Always it is like that only. So whether it is a dream or the waking, both are identical and happening in the same consciousness awareness. Tadapi, nevertheless, vritti aarudatvena puruṣārtha upayogi iti. Vritti aarudatvena. Aarudatvena means is mounted or seized or caught in the vritti. vritti means it is the thought, what is happening in the mind. But when the right vritti happens or the right apprehension happens, the apprehension can be misapprehension or the right apprehension. When the misapprehension happens, the rope becomes the snake. When the right apprehension happens, the rope is seen as rope. Same way, awareness, consciousness in the right apprehension is seen that by the jnani or the knower, he knows the waking, dream and the deep sleep, everything is nothing but my consciousness, myself or awareness or my nature. That is his right apprehension, which is called the akhaṇḍākāra-vṛtti, the non-dual cognition. Jnaninaha pratipadi. That is how the knower who understands it, he sees them all in his awareness or not different from his awareness. He is caught by that, or he knows that it is that in his awareness. Or see, the moment where I use the his means, again the waker is coming into our mind. Please understand, I am not referring to the waker. I am referring to the Brahman or Atma. In that awareness, puruṣārtha upayogi, it is used. That is when it happens, you are getting relieved by the clutches of the problems of the waker. But if you do not have that, then you are the ignorant person. Surya Deepa Adi Iva Chakshuvmat Andhayo Iti Dik. Surya Deepadi, like the sun or the lamp. That is why I said the example. In the light, whether it is by the sun or by the lamp, when objects are appearing, we see the objects. When we are seeing the object, we feel the object is there, present physically, separate from the light. But all our apprehension is due to sense organs, and sense organs are functioning due to consciousness or awareness. The same sense organ becomes impotent to sense when the consciousness or sense awareness is not present in the sense organ. Just as when the light is not there in the dark room, even if there are objects present there, it has no potency to be known. Same way, when the awareness, consciousness is not functioning through the sense organs, neither the dream world nor the waking world is not apprehended. This vritti or this process of projecting the awareness or consciousness through the sense organs makes us feel dependent upon the sense organs. Therefore, we think the mind and the sense organs and the individuality is real. It is just like a person on a skydiving comes down with the confidence that he has a parachute for soft landing. He is coming down, dropping down at a very fast speed. But he knows at which place he has to open the parachute and land. A jnani is like that. He knows that he is that consciousness awareness, and he doesn't get damaged, inflicted, or affected by the happenings of the phenomenal world. He knows this is the truth. Satyam janati. He knows the truth. But one who doesn't know the truth, he is called a jnani. he forgets, he doesn't know there is a parachute and he can open the parachute. He falls flat on the floor and dies. Same is the case with the jnani and ajnani who sees that the difference between the reality and the world of phenomena which is affecting him. If you are able to know you are that non-consciousness or the awareness, non-dual, in which the phenomenal world of the waker and the dreamer is happening due to the very consciousness or awareness. But if you don't apprehend that, then the experiences of the dream and the experiences of the waking, therefore the waker becomes the dreamer and the deep sleeper, and he becomes a human individual thinking that he is undergoing these experiences. Therefore the individuality or the ego becomes a reality and he is unable to get out of the clutches, and then therefore he has the problems of the world. Dvitiyad vaibhayam bhavati. From the second one, the phenomenal world of the whatever is being projected by himself, alienating himself from the consciousness awareness, because of which himself and the world is sustained or being experienced. That is forgotten, and he feels that he is the one which is getting afflicted by the duality of the world. As long as we are unable to do that aspect of alienation is a phenomena of the consciousness but not real, and we are the consciousness, pure awareness in which the waker, the waking world, the dreamer, the dream world or the deep sleep, everything is happening. I am the witness. Tebhyo vilakshanat sakshi chinmatroham sadashivam. I am that pure consciousness, always pure. To me, the phenomenal world or the dream world, the phenomenal person or the way of the waker or the dreamer, all of them are in my awareness. When I become the waker and the waking world, I experience the waker and the waking world. The experiencer of the waker, experiences of the waker is unreal as long as I don't allow myself to be carried away by the mind and the sense organs. That mind becomes no mind at that time. Mind perceives the world, but there is no the akhaṇḍākāra or the agam, ego aspect of the individuality there, because he doesn't identify himself as the one which is in the mind. He knows the mind, he sees the mind. That is why it is said in Bridhyate Hridaya Granthi, the Chandogya Upanishad 7th chapter, we studied that. He is no more in the knots of the heart where the ego is present to tie him down to the individuality. Vidyande sarva samshaya. All the doubts which he had, how this can happen, how that can happen, how this can infect me, how all of them are, scattered, no more available. Ekatvam anupashyata. He sees only the awareness. It is not the ordinary awareness, the way in which we see that with the eyes we see awareness or the Ayurvedic. It is that being or the existence awareness. Satyajnanam anantam or Satchidanandam. That Atma or Brahman is what is my reality, and I am that. Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. All those statements have to be now revisited with this in the mind. And one who is able to do this, he is called a jnani. He is not a jnani in the real nature. In the sense of the waker's point of view, he is a jnani. Because he sees the rope and not the snake. Same way, the waker, he knows that the waker knows that he is not the waker. The waker knows that the waker experience of mine is also my awareness. It is not that I am there as a waker. But he has no problem in being the awareness where the waker has no individuality to tie him down to the individual mind. So that happenings of the phenomenal world in the waking is not separate from the consciousness or awareness of the unified consciousness. That is why the non-dual awareness is the one which we have to identify with. And it is non-dual and non-phenomenal. The phenomenality is not a reality independent of consciousness or awareness. Therefore, it is non-phenomenal. The projection of the phenomenal world becomes an appearance. Appearance not in the sense of an appearance with our eyes, but an appearance in the awareness. Like the dream is an appearance in the awareness, the waking also becomes an appearance in the awareness. One who knows that he is a jnani and he is no more bound by what is happening in this phenomenal world. I will stop here. We will go to the next verse in the Friday's class, because this particular example, this explanation was very important from the point of view of understanding, because Vidyaranya's commentary here was asking how does the phenomenal world appear or disappear from between the jnani and the ajnani. That explanation was needed for us to get clarity when we go further into further verses from this book of Aparokshanubhuti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you very much, Binduji, for that profound session. I opened up the hand raising in the chat. So if there are any questions, I think Binduji will be with us for another half an hour or so. And yes, Jesse is coming up. Srinivas is coming up. Namaste.
Namaskar, Binduji and Prakash. Can you hear me
Namaste.
okay? Namaste.
Yes, I can hear you, Abu.
Very good. I'm on a different earphones. So thank you so much for these beautiful teachings. And I so appreciated the last lesson as well. And I just have a couple of comments and maybe two questions. So number one, I love, this is going to be a beautiful metaphor for me that you spoke of this evening in this lesson, or for me this evening in this lesson about the parachute. Knowing when to open the parachute is the same idea as how do we experience the phenomenal world. and being able to take care of the practicalities and experience the phenomenal world and understand its transactional reality, but also taking care of knowing where we're at. So that was such a beautiful metaphor. I just want to, number one, thank you for that. And then my question is, I was really appreciating in the last class the discussion around self-luminosity, and sometimes I call it self-effulgence, self-luminosity, that light from the self. And I'm going to listen again to that, but there was only one thing that I didn't understand in that last class when you mentioned that this self-luminous awareness has a definite relation to eternity. And it was just a quick sentence that I'll listen to again, but I just wondered if you might elaborate on that for me, please.
Yeah. See, the self-luminosity is not a luminosity of similar to the light, which has a beginning and end. Whereas this is the luminosity of awareness. And therefore, there is never a moment when awareness is not present. Even when we are in our deep sleep, we say that I was not aware. But we were aware of our own existence, not as an individualized ego of the waker or the dreamer, but as a pure awareness, we are there, present there. Therefore, but there was no content or objectification nor phenomenality which is happening. Therefore, we say that there was nothing. But at the same time, we say that I have no knowledge or I have no awareness, nothing like that. So that denial is not that self-luminosity has gone, but it is the one with the self-luminosity in which you are able to make even this statement.
So that fourth state of recognizing the awareness in all three states, Kriteriya, I may be saying it wrong, but that's basically that part of the awareness that is self-luminous is the part that is eternal because there's no beginning and no end. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Very, very good. Thank you, sir. I have one more question. I think I've spoken about this before, or asked you questions about this before, that I experience the three states as very permeable, meaning between waking and dreaming. And of course, I know when I've had a deep sleep, but I may not be fully aware of the awareness of nothingness that I experienced there. But I'm just wondering, because I think of the difference between waking and dreaming as supporting each other and as informing each other and being very, very permeable, like asking the question when I'm awake am I awake or is this a dream? And if I wake up from a dream that seemed really real or was like a lucid dream, was that a dream or was it real? Is there any correction of thinking or correction of exploration that you can give me for me thinking about my waking and dream states as extremely permeable?
You're absolutely right. Permeability between the waking and the dream is very common phenomena for people, but not observed by many people. The reason being that, the words you used, real. Now, what is real is not defined by us when we are in the waking or in the dream. The reality, what we call it as a reality, there is only one thing which is real and eternal, that is the awareness. Everything else, whether it is the waking or the dream, are ephemeral in the sense that they are experienced and they do not experience. What experiences and they do not experience at different times is, you cannot call it as real. But we call waking as real and dream as unreal only from that point of view, because dream goes away, but for us the waking appears to be real day after day after day. But on a very close scrutiny, we will understand that even that waking, what we call it as day after day, the world is appearing the same, that the clock is there, the experiences are there, the physicality, the gross nature of the world, everything is called real from the point of view of the sense organs and the mind. But when you shift yourself as the witness, which is observing the permeability of waking, dream and deep sleep going and in circles or in tandem or whichever comes and goes, it doesn't matter. From that point of view, the word real has to be redefined. Only that
Yes,
witness
I
becomes
can see
real
that.
and not the one which is you are experiencing in the waking.
Thank you. That's a language and a cognitive correction for me. I can see that. And I will continue to be buoyed and brought forward in joy about the permeability of both the waking and the dream states, because I'm training myself to say, am I awake or am I asleep? It's kind of like that, what is it, Emperor Jonica or the Prince Jonica story. Is this real or is that real? Anyway, thank you so
Thank
Thank you so
thank you,
much for
Shashi.
taking my question. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you too. Srinivas, namaste.
Namaste, Bindoji. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi.
Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to all.
So, a beautiful session, Bindoji. I have a small question. Uh,
Yeah.
this the phenomenal world is Brahman was the opening, right? And then then there was an explanation. So this parachute example also reminded me of that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa example where a maid is working in a landlord's house, but even though she is doing the work, her attention or whatever we want to call it is on her family, kids and all like that. And also another example where a woman is carrying pot of water on her head, but while walking she is talking to everybody and doing lot of things, but somehow the pot of water stays balanced on her head, kind of thing. So is it in the light of these examples is a good way to understand that the phenomenal world is Brahman, because there is a holistic aspect to it, because all the three states are being considered, whereas the waker is continuing to do the transaction. So do you think this example is one of the good ways of understanding how the phenomenal world is Brahman? That's what I wanted to ask.
See, that examples are capable of taking us from the nature of mind. While activity can be done by the physicality of the individual, the mind need not be present for that activity to be carried away. Now, this is something like, happens, these examples of the maid, etc. are all good. But modern time, I would use rather a different example is that you're driving back from office. You are turning left, right, and the signals and stoppage and everything happens automatically, but your mind is working either in the problem in the office or the stress in the office or your thing to be done at the home. Your attention, your mind is not in the driving, but your driving becomes automated because you know exactly where to stop and all those things. You may not remember what are the things you crossed in between. You would have seen that vehicles or the people who crossing, that when you stop at a signal, the pedestrians who are crossing and all, but you may not remember any one of them when you reach back home, which shows that the mind has the capacity to take away from attention for the purpose when we are physical. But we always think that, we are physically involved in the physical world only because the mind is involved in it. No. These are all the minor ways in which the mind operates. But here what we are talking about is that total annihilation or dissolving of the individuality. See, when you are driving automation, or when the maid is carrying, or when lady is carrying the pot, the individuality is not annihilated. It is still very much there. I am the one who is talking. I am the one who is carrying the pot, etc. But here we are talking about a state where you are observing even the waker as not you, but as a expression of the awareness. That is why I had to bring that dream example for delinking our identification with the dreamer. Same delinking has to be done in the waker also, in the waker state also. Then only you can say that you are the awareness.
Yeah. So I think in the car example what you gave, basically that is like the driving the car. Can it be compared to like what we call nischaya jnana or something like that, right? So when we say the difference between, so probably difference between a jnani and ajnani is the parachute example what you gave. So so when we say that either that balancing of the pot or these things, can't we compare it to the nischaya jnana what we talk about in Advaita?
No, Nishchaya Jnana is that where you are affirmed that you are not the waker, nor the dreamer, nor the individuality of waking, dream and deep sleeper, but you are pure awareness. That is the Nishchaya Jnana. That Nishchaya Jnana, or that conviction, will be present all the time, because it is not a conviction anymore, because conviction was required only for the waker. Once that conviction takes place, the waker, he is no more the waker, and he is identifying himself to be the awareness, consciousness, self. And therefore, the Nishchaya Jnana, which is, or the conviction which was required at the waker level to help him to get out of the waker conditioning, that is Nishchaya Jnana. But once that happens, he is no more controlled by the conviction or Nishchaya Jnana, because he knows his reality as what it is, and he remains there.
So when you said the parachute, this guy knows how to operate the parachute. Isn't it to do with Nishchaya? Then what is that opening of the parachute referring, like for example, in the way you told it?
Yeah, that is when the waking is happening. Even in the waking, when he is identifying, like the person is now with the conviction, he is no more the waker, but when he is interacting in the phenomenal world, his knowledge is established in his awareness. Yet he knows that it is the same awareness which is now as the waker and interacting in the phenomenal world. That aspect of, knowing the waker as a awareness interacting with the phenomenal world is the knowledge of the parachute, having the parachute and opening it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bindaji. Beautiful. Thank you for the beautiful session.
Thank you, Shubin.
Any other questions from the audience? Or looks like there's no further questions, Bindoji.
Okay, then we can close. Thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you for the attendance, and hope you are all enjoying the replay, those who have not been able to attend the class. And we'll see you all on Friday. 69th verse we will be continuing. Once these are all over, it will become much easier for us to move faster, because these are all important verses, even though they are very small and cryptic in nature. And dot of deliberation is required for us to understand it properly. That's why I'm going a bit slow in the last few classes. See you on Friday. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Srinivas, for your questions. See you on Friday. Prakash, you can close the room.
Yes. Thank you, Bindoji. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Have a nice day, everyone.